А вот, Серафим, твоя хата, которой уже нет.
The Sinking of Moskva, Part 3. After being struck by Ukrainian missiles on the 13th of April, the Russian missile cruiser Moskva was abandoned and left to drift burning overnight. This thread tells the story of the ship's final hours and what happened next. These threads are based on a newly published dossier compiled by Dmitry Shkrebets, the father of a conscript sailor who died in the attack on Moskva. In the previous video, we explained how the crew tried to save the ship after 2 Ukrainian Neptune missiles struck it at 14:20 on 13 April. On the morning of the 14th of April, the tugboat Shakhtar arrived on the scene with Admiral Essen, Admiral Makarov, and Epron already there. A helicopter survey of Moskva reported that the cruiser was still on fire, with explosions continuing within the ship's interior. A photograph of the sinking Moskva and the short video below were recorded on the 14th of April, with Shakhtar visible in the background of the video. They both show how severely damaged Moskva was by this point. Flames are still visible coming out of the portholes in compartments 7 to 10. Soot stains above portholes near the stern show the extent of uncontrolled smoke, while a crack is visible near an aft torpedo tube. The deck above the S-300F missile room has sagged downwards. The missile room is one of the largest spaces in a Slava-class cruiser like Moskva, and stretches across the ship's full width. It's occupied by several revolver-style S-300F missile tubes. It's marked in the diagram here as cellar number. 6 feet, located above compartments 11 and 12. A 2.5-meter crack is visible on the starboard side, extending from the main deck to below the waterline and running straight through a porthole. It would have allowed water to enter the ship, though probably not in sufficient quantities to cause the sinking by itself. The missile holes were underwater by this time. Further water ingress is likely to have come from open portholes. The crew members trapped in the central compartments after the attack had to open the portholes to escape, but could not have closed them afterwards. The ship is also visibly settling by the stern. Shkrebets writes that this was because the missile room was progressively flooding. He comments that water likely entered either from the engine room or from the missile hole at the junction of compartments 13 and 14. Despite the damage, it was decided that an attempt would be made to tow Moskva to Sevastopol, 210 kilometers away. A tow line was attached but was abandoned late on the 14th of April, after it was found that the tow could proceed no faster than 2 knots, a 57-hour voyage to Sevastopol. At 2000 hours, Shkrebets reports, the cruiser Moskva lost stability, capsized on its left side, and sank with a trim by the stern. There was no final explosion, as some erroneously suggested at the time. She may have been destabilized by the flooding of the S-300F missile room. Although many speculated at the time that the direct cause of the sinking was the explosion of ammunition aboard, according to Shkrebets, the only ammunition that definitely exploded was the stockpile of 30mm shells in a storage room on the upper deck. It's likely that the sinking was caused by water entering through holes caused by the missile impacts and fire-caused hull deformation. Shkrebets writes that using the bilge pumps to remove excess water failed, and the only large pump aboard broke down after 10 minutes. Shkrebets speculates that Moskva was deliberately sunk to spare the Russian Navy the embarrassment of bringing it to shore in a burned-out condition. This seems unlikely, as having the ship sunk was undoubtedly far more embarrassing. It also contradicts Shkrebets' own statement that in Sevastopol they actually prepared the northern dock for it, located in Dock Bay on the northern side. If this was done, it was hardly consistent with an intention to deliberately sink the ship. 2 days after the sinking, many of the surviving crew of Moskva were paraded in Sevastopol, excepting the badly wounded, of whom there appear to have been many. This caused a lot of discontent among the sailors, according to Shkrebets. When the remaining crew of the cruiser Moskva was placed in the Kazachka, 1472nd Naval Clinical Hospital in Sevastopol, they were forced to prepare dress uniforms for the arrival of the commander-in-chief. The sailors began to express their dissatisfaction with this show. They were pulled out of fire and water, many with burnt and frostbitten limbs. and were a hair's breadth from death in the worst-case scenario. And they decided to arrange a military parade for them. The Russian Ministry of Defense subsequently attempted to carry out a years-long cover-up of who and how many had died in the sinking. Families of missing crew members who posted messages of mourning on social media were told to take them down. Even now, it's not clear how many died. Officially, 1 man died, and 27 were listed as missing, while 396 were rescued. 17 of the 27 were later declared dead by a court. A memorial listing 20 fatalities was unveiled in Sevastopol in April 2024. To be continued, lessons and reflections from the sinking of Moskva. Russian terrorists struck civilian apartment buildings in Mirnohrad, Donetsk Oblast, causing extensive damage.
А вот, Серафим, твоя хата, которой уже нет.
Russian sources claim the Kremlin halted talks prep with Trump after the Ukraine-US mineral deal. A Kremlin insider reports that top Russian officials are forced to urgently revise their White House engagement strategy. Kremlin halts preparations for meeting with Trump after Ukrainian-American deal. A diplomatic source says that now, neither Putin nor the US will dare to propose a summit, meaning constructive talks on the war will be delayed until the fall of this year. A source close to the Kremlin mates that the long-term aid agreement between Kiev and Washington has forced Russia to urgently rethink its approach and engage with the White House. We urgently need to offer alternative proposals that might prevail and lead to something Trump and Zelensky could agree on, the insider concluded. United Kingdom adopts Storm Shroud drone for electronic warfare. Its 2.5-kilogram Brightstorm system jams aircraft and missile radars. Launched by Catapult, it's modular and boosts strike aviation.
So the Royal Air Force's autonomous collaborative platform strategy leads us to effectively harness the emerging uncrewed air systems technology to bring to bear to the warfighter. Autonomous collaborative platforms will operate in a number of different ways. We will end up with our lower end capability, what we call Tier 1, operating to provide an effect in concert with other capabilities, and we've already been doing that work very successfully. In the future, we expect greater levels of autonomy. We expect them to operate as weapon systems, as air-to-air refuelers, as surveillance platforms, but also operating in concert with our crewed platforms to make sure that they can enhance the capability, bring a different effect, operate in different environments, bring us extended range, and make sure that we can protect our crewed platforms in a better way as well. So we're going to interoperate and integrate with combat air platforms now and into the future to ensure that we increase survivability and we enhance our operational capability into the future.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.